Om Devaji, Sheshnag.com, Sheshnag Yoga Center. What on earth is Kundalini? Another lesson from the Om Devaji School of Spiritual Neuroses. This is to do with the Sieve. What the heck is the Sieve? I see it as a filtration system that could be physiologically tied into or seen in the context of the limbic system, something that filters things out for your own protection. So basically everyone has a sieve in their subconscious. So that's the sieve. Well, actually, like any spirituality, it's awesome until you involve someone else. Then it all comes to the fore, where it's challenging and have to remind yourself to be conscious. There's two sieves. A stick man with a long body, stick girl with long legs, doesn't even matter, I'm just making this up. But basically, any interaction you have. Let's say this sieve, each person has the sieve. What's it made out of? Values, beliefs. What's in the values and beliefs? Truths, untruths. So everything you experience is coloured by your belief system, where you value what you hold to be true and untrue. So everything that you experience as a human gets filtered by your values and beliefs of what you hold to be true and untrue. Then, after you digest it or ingest it, takes a while to digest it, then you regurgitate it and spit something back out. What happens when you spit it back out? It comes back out through your sieve. So your sieve works on two ways or two levels. Works on the way in and on the way out. The filtration of experiences according to your own value and belief system. If that makes sense. I'll give you an example. Let's say we can use the weather, but let's not use the weather. Let's use Sanskrit from an anatomical perspective, because that's what I'm right into. Here's Omji, not in the long body one, but it'll do. Omji spits out through his value and belief system that Sanskrit is the language Devanagari. It's the language of the gods, made up by these subtle sounds in the etheric body, responsible for the representation of the physical body and every expression on a psychological and emotional level. This person never heard of Sanskrit. So it goes through their sieve. Where's it land? In their untruths basket. They might hold that English is the language of God. It's a bit barbaric English, but let's say their truth is English is the language of God. Once they ingest the experience of Sanskrit's the language of God, they'll digest it relative to filtration of their values and beliefs, and then they'll regurgitate it, project it back onto Omji over here, saying some sort of justification of their own belief system, which comes out, we'll put A there for English. So then when it gets to Omji's mind, through the filtration system where he holds Sanskrit to be the truth rather than English, he becomes invalidated. What does he do with his invalidation? One of two things. He's comfortable in his own belief system, So he doesn't have to spit anything out to reaffirm his interpretation of reality. That's one. Solid. Confident in your own interpretation. The other one, unsure, unknowing, unaware. One is, I stay through the invalidation. I don't need the validation to be happy with how I interpret life, so I can stay there and then interact with this person objectively, not necessarily agree with their interpretation of English being God's language, but allowing them to be entitled to their interpretation for themselves. The other one is, if I experience things such as maybe through my invalidation, I could experience cognitive dissonance. I could go into some part of my mind or shut it off and compartmentalize it, so I don't have to acknowledge their projection of their beliefs again and just totally close off my mind to it. I can be shaky in my own interpretation of the truth and thus feel a need to reproject my interpretation for further validation. So then I spit out Sanskrit. The person becomes invalidated, and then we have an ongoing discussion or debate about which person's truth is the right one. In reality, each person's individual truth is theirs to own for themselves. If they see Sanskrit as not the language of God and English as the language of God, I hope they find it. The projection and reflection that happens through the sieve of the subconscious can allow a person to become aware of their own truths and their untruths, especially when you feel uncomfortable. Because if you feel uncomfortable, watch out when you feel invalidated or uncomfortable with the projection of someone else, because there's a need almost immediately to throw out your truth. You can test anyone. Next time someone says it's a hot day, and it is a hot day, you say it's a cold day back. See what their response is, and then what the ensuing interaction is psychologically and energetically relative to them trying to reinforce the truth of it being a hot day when you've just tested them by providing them with a dose of invalidation. And then see what happens. The fun really begins then. So that's about it. Talking about the sieve. I'm a bit tired, man. Been off the gear, not sleeping well. That's a story for a different day, another video. I'm going to make another video now, but it won't be about my tiredness. It'll be about sharing the world and trying to get some Sanskrit out there. But this one's more to do with the sieve in the subconscious mind and how we feel a need through invalidation after filtration of our experience relative to our own belief system. A lot of words there, man. If you need help to digest that or interpret it, you can probably email me somewhere. Om Namah Shivaya. Share the world. What on earth is Kundalini? Who knows?